Captain Hyun-soo stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Iron Fist, watching the stars through the main viewing screen. The ship was huge, built with thick metal walls and powerful weapons. It was one of Earth's newest warships, designed to protect humanity from anything dangerous in space. The Iron Fist was on a normal patrol mission near the edge of human space. Hyun-soo had been a captain for 10 years, and he knew his job well. His crew was experienced and ready for anything. The ship had been flying through empty space for 3 days without seeing anything interesting. So Min, the communications officer, sat at her station monitoring radio signals from across the galaxy. She was young but very good at her job. Her equipment could pick up messages from very far away, even signals that were not meant for human ears. "Captain," So Min called out suddenly. Her voice sounded excited and worried at the same time. "I'm getting a strange signal. It's not coming from any human ship." Hyun-soo walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It's a distress call, sir, but it's in an alien language. The computer is trying to translate it now." So Min worked quickly at her controls, adjusting the signal to make it clearer. The bridge became quiet as everyone waited. Hyun-soo felt his heart beating faster. Humans had known that aliens existed for many years, but they had never made direct contact. Earth's government had decided to stay hidden and watch from far away. "Translation complete, Captain," So Min announced. She looked pale as she read the message on her screen. "Sir, you need to hear this." Hyun-soo nodded. "Put it on the main speakers." A computer voice filled the bridge, speaking in clear English. "Emergency transmission from the Volani Republic to the Galactic Peacekeeping Coalition. Our worlds are under attack. The Keth Empire has invaded our space with a massive fleet. Our defense forces are destroyed. Millions of civilians are trapped on our home planet. We need immediate military assistance. Please respond. Time is running out." The message repeated 3 times, then stopped. The bridge was completely silent. Hyun-soo stared at the communications station. "So Min, was that message meant for us?" "No, sir. According to the signal path, it was supposed to go to something called the Galactic Peacekeeping Coalition. But there was a solar storm in the Centauri system that changed the signal's direction. It bounced off several satellites and ended up on our military frequency." Lieutenant Commander Woo Jin, the ship's first officer, stepped forward. "Captain, what do we do? This isn't our fight," Hyun-soo thought carefully. He had heard rumors about alien governments and wars happening far from Earth. The military had files about different alien species, but humans had never gotten involved in their conflicts. "So Min, can you trace where this signal came from?" "Yes, sir. The Volani Republic is about 40 light-years from here. The signal is 12 hours old, which means whatever is happening to them is still happening," Hyun-soo finished. He walked to the center of the bridge, thinking hard about what to do. The Iron Fist had the best engines and weapons that human technology could build. The ship could reach the Volani Republic in 2 days if they pushed the engines to maximum speed. But going there would mean revealing that humans existed to the rest of the galaxy. "Sir," Woo Jin said quietly, "we should report this to Earth Command and let them decide." Hyun-soo knew his first officer was right. This was too big a decision for one ship captain to make. But he also knew that by the time Earth Command made a decision, it might be too late for the Volani. "So Min, send a priority message to Admiral Tae Jin at Earth Command. Tell him about the alien distress call and request immediate instructions." Hyun-soo paused, then added, "Also tell him that I recommend we respond to the distress call immediately." "Aye, sir. Sending message now." The message would take 6 hours to reach Earth and another 6 hours for a reply to come back. That was 12 hours that the Volani didn't have. Hyun-soo walked back to his captain's chair and sat down heavily. He had joined the Earth Defense Force to protect humanity, but now he was thinking about protecting aliens he had never met. The Volani sounded desperate and afraid in their message. They were asking for help from anyone who would listen. "Captain," So Min said, I'm getting more signals from the same area. They're not distress calls. They sound like military communications. Can you translate them? The computer is working on it. These signals are in a different language. So-Min worked at her station for several minutes. Got it, sir. These messages are from the Keth Empire. They're coordinating an attack on the Vallani home planet. Hyun-Soo felt anger building inside him. What are they saying? So-Min read from her screen, her voice getting quieter as she continued. They're talking about capturing Vallani civilians for slave labor. They want to strip all the valuable metals from the Vallani planets. And, sir, they're laughing about how easy it is to destroy the Vallani defense ships. The bridge crew looked shocked and angry. Everyone knew that humans had fought many wars throughout their history, but they had never heard of aliens who attacked peaceful species just to steal their resources and enslave their people. How long until we get a reply? From Earth Command? Hyun-Soo asked. Still 11 hours, sir. Hyun-Soo made his decision. Woo Jin! Set course for the Vallani Republic. Maximum speed. Sir, we don't have orders to... I'm giving the orders. Those people are dying while we sit here waiting for permission to help them. Hyun-Soo stood up and faced his crew. We swore an oath to protect innocent people from harm. I don't care if those people are human or alien. Woo Jin looked uncertain, but he followed orders. Course set for the Vallani Republic. Estimated travel time, 47 hours at maximum speed. Helm, engage engines. Take us to these Vallani people. The Iron Fist turned toward the distant star, system where aliens were fighting for their lives. The ship's powerful engines pushed it faster than any human vessel had ever traveled before. So-Min continued monitoring the alien signals. Captain, the Keth Empire has over 200 ships attacking the Vallani. The Vallani only have about 30 ships left, and most of them are damaged. What about this Galactic Peacekeeping Coalition? When will they arrive? According to the Vallani distress calls, the coalition is 3 weeks away from their location. 3 weeks. Hyun-Soo shook his head. In 3 weeks, there won't be any Vallani left to save. As the Iron Fist raced through space toward its first alien contact, Hyun-Soo wondered if he was making the right choice. His ship was powerful, but it was only one ship against 200 enemy vessels. The crew was brave and well-trained, but they had never fought aliens before. But Hyun-Soo remembered something his father had told him when he was young. Sometimes the right thing to do is also the hardest thing to do. The Vallani had sent their cry for help to the wrong hands, but maybe those wrong hands were exactly what they needed. Admiral Tae-jin received Captain Hyun-Soo's message while he was having breakfast in his office at Earth Command. He read the report 3 times before he fully understood what it meant. Aliens were fighting a war 40 light-years from Earth, and one of his captains wanted to get involved. Tae-jin was a careful man who had spent 30 years in the military. He never made quick decisions about important things. But as he read about the Vallani Republic and the Keth Empire, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt angry. The Keth Empire sounded like the worst kind of enemy. They attacked peaceful. People stole their resources and turned them into slaves. Earth had fought wars against similar enemies in the past, and Tae-jin knew that evil had to be stopped wherever it appeared. He pressed a button on his desk. Get me Colonel Min-ho, Commander Ji-young, and Captain Dong-wook. Emergency meeting in Conference Room A. Within 30 minutes, Earth's top military leaders were sitting around a large table looking at the alien distress call. Colonel Min-ho commanded the Marine Assault Division, the toughest ground fighters in human space. Commander Ji-young led the Stealth Corps, specialists in secret missions and surprise attacks. Captain Dong-wook was in charge of the heavy artillery fleet, ships with the biggest guns humans had ever built. Gentlemen, Admiral Tae-jin began, we have a situation. An alien species called the Vallani Republic is being destroyed by something called the Keth Empire. Captain Hyun-Soo intercepted their distress call and is already heading to help them. Colonel Min-ho frowned. Sir, one ship against 200? That's suicide. I agree, which is why I'm considering sending a fleet to support him. Tae-jin activated a large screen that showed a map of nearby star systems. For the past 50 years, we've been building ships and training soldiers for a war that might never come. Maybe it's time to use them. Commander Ji-young leaned forward. What do we know about these aliens? Are the Vellani really innocent? Is the Keth Empire really as bad as they sound? Good questions. I've had our intelligence teams working on this for the past 6 hours. Tae-jin brought up new information on the screen. The Vellani Republic has 23 planets with a total population of 12 billion. They're scientists and farmers, not warriors. They've never attacked anyone. And the Keth Empire? Captain Dong-wook asked. The Keth Empire controls over 400 planets. They're a military dictatorship that grows by conquering weaker species. In the past century, they've destroyed 8 different civilizations. Tae-jin paused to let that sink in. The Vellani are just their latest target. The room was quiet for a moment. These were professional soldiers who had seen many terrible things. But the idea of an entire empire dedicated to destroying peaceful people was hard to accept. Sir, Colonel Minho said, if we get involved, we'll be revealing humanity to the galaxy. There's no going back from that. I know. But if we don't get involved, 12 billion innocent people will die or become slaves. Admiral Tae-jin stood up and walked to a window that looked out over Earth's largest military base. I've been thinking about this all morning. What's the point of having the strongest military in human history if we don't use it to protect people? Who can't protect themselves? Commander Ji-young nodded slowly. What kind of force are you thinking about sending? Admiral Tae-jin smiled for the first time that day. All of it. The other officers looked shocked. Captain Dong-wook spoke first. Sir, you mean the entire Earth Defense Force? Not quite. I want to leave some ships to protect Earth, but I'm talking about sending 4 fleets. 2,000 ships, 50,000 Marines. Everything we need to make sure the Keth Empire understands that bullying innocent people is a very bad idea. For the next 4 hours, the 4 leaders planned the largest military operation in human history. They would send the 1st Fleet immediately to support Captain Hyun-soo. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fleets would follow within 24 hours. The ships they were sending had been designed by engineers who understood that humans came from a dangerous world. Earth had heavy gravity, deadly weather, and millions of species that could kill a human in seconds. Humans had survived by being tougher, smarter, and more violent than anything else on their planet. Human warships reflected this harsh reality. While other species might build elegant ships with beautiful designs, humans built ships that could survive anything. The hulls were thick enough to stop asteroid impacts. The weapons were powerful enough to crack planets. The shields could absorb the energy of a small star. The flagship of the operation would be the Soul's Vengeance, Admiral Tae-jin's personal command ship. It was the size of a small city and carried enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet. The ship had been built in secret over the past 10 years, using technology that pushed the limits of human engineering. Captain Dong-wook would bring his heavy artillery fleet, including the massive ships Busan's Fury, Incheon's Wrath, and Gwangju's Justice. Each of these ships carried weapons that could destroy a moon with a single shot. Commander Ji-young's Stealth Corps would provide reconnaissance and surprise attacks. Her ships could become invisible to almost any sensor and strike without warning. Colonel Minho's Marines would be ready for ground combat. Human soldiers wore powered armor that made them faster and stronger than most alien species. They carried weapons designed to work in any environment, from the frozen vacuum of space to the crushing depths of an ocean world. But the most important part of the plan was psychological. Admiral Tae-jin wanted the galaxy to understand that humans were not just another species. They were protectors. Anyone who attacked innocent people would have to deal with Earth's children. There's one more thing. Admiral Tae-jin said as the meeting was ending. I'm promoting Captain Hyun-soo to Fleet Admiral and putting him in command of the entire operation. Sir? Colonel Min-ho looked confused. He's just a ship captain. He's the captain who decided to help strangers without being ordered to do it. He's the kind of leader we need for this mission. Admiral Tae-jin looked at each of his officers. Besides, he intercepted the signal. This is his fight. Commander Ji-young asked the question they were all thinking. What if we're making a mistake? What if getting involved in this war causes problems for Earth later? Admiral Tae-jin thought about the question for a long moment. Then we'll deal with those problems when they come. But I'd rather live in a galaxy where people help each other than in one where everyone ignores suffering because it's not their business. The meeting ended with orders being sent to military bases all over Earth and the solar system. Within hours, the largest fleet in human history was preparing to leave for alien space. As Admiral Tae-jin watched the preparations from his office window, he thought about Captain Hyun-soo racing through space in a single ship to help people he had never met. Soon, Hyun-soo wouldn't be alone. The entire might of humanity would be coming to help him. The Keth Empire had no idea what was heading their way. The Iron Fist dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Volani home system, and Captain Hyun-soo immediately saw that they were too late to prevent a disaster. The space around the beautiful blue and green planet was filled with burning ships and debris. Hundreds of small Volani civilian transports were fleeing in panic while massive Keth Empire warships chased them down like predators hunting helpless prey. My God, whispered Lieutenant Commander Woo Jin as he stared at the main screen. There are so many of them. Hyun-soo counted the enemy ships. Over 200 Keth vessels surrounded the planet, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. They were systematically destroying anything that moved. Volani defense platforms that had protected the planet for centuries were now nothing but floating wreckage. Captain, So-min called from her communications station. I'm picking up a transmission directed at us. Put it on screen. The face that appeared was unlike anything the human crew had ever seen. The alien had gray skin, 4 arms, and eyes that glowed red in the darkness. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into harsh, mechanical English. Unknown vessel. You have entered Keth territorial space. I am Fleet Commander Vexitar of the Keth Empire. Identify yourself immediately and explain your presence here. Hyun-soo stood up slowly. This was the moment that would change everything. After today, humans would no longer be hidden from the galaxy. This is Captain Hyun-soo of the Terran Defense Force vessel Iron Fist. We received a distress call from the Volani Republic. Vexitar's 4 arms moved in what might have been laughter. Terran? We have no record of your species. You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed. The Volani belong to the Keth Empire now. Hyun-soo looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were afraid, but they were also angry. Through the main screen, they could see Keth ships firing on defenseless civilian transports trying to escape the system. Fleet Commander Vexitar, you have 30 seconds to cease fire on civilian targets and withdraw from this system. If you do not comply, we will consider you hostile and respond accordingly. The alien commander's red eyes seemed to glow brighter. You dare threaten the Keth Empire? Your single ship against our entire fleet? You are either very brave or very stupid. 30 seconds, Hyun-soo repeated. Vexitar's image disappeared from the screen. Almost immediately, 20 Keth warships turned toward the Iron Fist and began moving to attack. Each enemy ship was half the size of the human vessel, but 20 against 1 seemed like impossible odds. Captain, Woo Jin said quietly, should we call for backup? Backup is already coming. Right now, we need to buy time for those civilian ships to escape. Hyun-soo sat down in his command chair. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to engage a superior enemy force to protect innocent civilians. I know you're all scared. I'm scared too. But this is what we trained for. He opened a channel to the entire ship. Today, humanity announces itself to the galaxy. We're going to show them who we are and what we stand for. Weapons officer, prepare all batteries for combat. Sergeant Yoon Ji was the best weapons operator in the Earth Defense Force. She had spent 10 years learning how to use the Iron Fist's massive arsenal. Human weapons were built to destroy anything they hit, no matter how big or how well protected. All weapons ready, Captain. Railguns loaded and charged. Plasma cannons at full power. Missile tubes loaded with nuclear warheads. Target the lead. Ships, fire when ready. The Iron Fist erupted with deadly energy. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speed, hitting the Keth ships like invisible hammers. Plasma cannons sent streams of superheated gas that could melt through any known material. Nuclear missiles exploded in brilliant flashes that lit up the darkness of space. The results were immediate and shocking. The first Keth ship simply disappeared, torn apart by railgun fire before its crew could even scream. The second ship melted as plasma fire burned through its hull like a blowtorch, through paper. The third ship was vaporized when a nuclear missile detonated against its bridge. In less than 30 seconds, 12 Keth ships had been completely destroyed. The attack stopped as suddenly as it had begun. The remaining Keth vessels seemed frozen, in shock. Vextar's face reappeared on the screen, and for the first time, he looked afraid. "What are you?" he whispered. Hyun-soo stood up again. "We are humans. We come from a world where everything tries to kill you from the moment you're born. We learn to fight by fighting for our lives every single day, and we do not allow bullies to hurt innocent people." All across the system, Keth and Vellani ships had stopped what they were doing to watch the impossible sight of a single human ship destroying a dozen enemy vessels without taking any damage in return. On the surface of the Vellani homeworld, Prime Minister Kelthara watched the battle through her government's emergency command center. The Vellani were a peaceful species who had never developed powerful weapons or strong military forces. They had tried to solve conflicts through negotiation and compromise. "Minister," her aide said in a shaking voice, "the new ship is hailing us. Put them through." Captain Hyun-soo's face appeared on the screen. Kelthara had never seen a human before, but she could see strength and determination in his eyes. "Prime Minister Kelthara, this is Captain Hyun-soo of the human ship Iron Fist. We received your distress call and have come to help. More of our ships are on the way." "Captain, we are grateful beyond words, but you must understand, the Keth Empire has over 200 ships in this system. Your single vessel, no matter how powerful, cannot defeat them all." Hyun-soo smiled, and Kelthara was surprised to see that it was a kind smile, not the cruel expression she expected from such a deadly warrior. "Prime Minister, you're right that one ship can't defeat an entire fleet, but we're not alone. In 6 hours, the Terran Defense Force will arrive with enough ships to end this war permanently." Fleet Commander Vexatar had been listening to the conversation. His image appeared next to the human captain's. "Impossible! No species has that many warships. You are bluffing." "In 6 hours, you'll find out if I'm bluffing or not," Hyun-soo replied, calmly. "Until then, any Keth ship that fires on civilian targets will be destroyed immediately." As if to prove his point, a Keth destroyer had been moving toward a group of Vellani refugee ships. Sergeant Yoonji fired a single railgun shot that cut the enemy vessel in half. The message was clear. The humans would protect the innocent, no matter the cost. For the next 6 hours, an uneasy standoff filled the system. The Keth fleet stayed, in position around the planet, unsure what to do. They had never encountered an enemy like this before. The human ship seemed to have unlimited ammunition and weapons that could destroy anything they hit. More importantly, the humans fought with a cold, calculated violence that terrified even the warlike Keth. When they destroyed a ship, they did it completely. There were no survivors, no wreckage that could be salvaged. nothing left but empty space. As the hours passed, Vexatar received reports from across the galaxy. Other alien governments had detected the human ship's arrival and were demanding to know who these Terrans were and where they had come from. But the most disturbing report came from the Keth Empire's own intelligence service. They had been monitoring radio signals from the direction the human ship had come from, and what they found made no sense. There were thousands of ships moving toward the Vellani system at incredible speed. The silence in the Vellani system was broken by the arrival of the largest fleet anyone had ever seen. Ships appeared from hyperspace in perfect formation, their hulls dark and threatening against the stars. The first wave included 50 massive vessels, each one larger than anything the Keth Empire had ever built. Fleet Commander Vexatar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. This is impossible. No species has this many capital ships. But the humans kept coming. Wave after wave of warships dropped out of hyperspace, taking positions around the system. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, carriers filled with fighter craft, and ships so large that they had their own gravity fields. At the center of the formation was a vessel that defied description. The Soul's Vengeance was more than a ship. It was a mobile fortress that could destroy planets. Its hull was covered with weapon systems that most aliens couldn't even identify. Captain Hyunsu watched from the bridge of the Iron Fist as Admiral Tae-jin's flagship took position near his smaller vessel. For the first time in hours, he allowed himself to smile. "Captain," So-min announced, "Admiral Tae-jin is requesting permission to come aboard." Permission granted. "And So-min, send a message to the entire human fleet. Tell them their orders are to protect all civilian vessels and prepare for combat operations." Admiral Tae-jin arrived on the Iron Fist with a small escort of Marines. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. When he walked onto the bridge, every human officer stood at attention. "As you were," Tae-jin said. He walked directly to Hyunsu and placed a hand on the younger man's shoulder. "Captain, you've done something remarkable here. Because of your actions, we're about to make history." "Thank you, sir. What are your orders?" "You're being promoted to Fleet Admiral, effective immediately. This is your operation now. I'm here to support you." Tae-jin gestured toward the main screen, which showed hundreds of Keth ships still surrounding the Vellani planet. "What's your assessment of the enemy?" Hyunsu had been studying the Keth fleet for hours. "They're confused and scared, but they're not running. Their commander, Vextar, seems to be waiting for orders from his superiors. The Keth ships are well armed, but not as advanced as our technology." "And the Vellani?" "Grateful and hopeful." "Prime. Minister Kelthara has been in constant communication. Their people are hiding in underground shelters while we decide their fate." Admiral Tae-jin nodded. "Then let's not keep them waiting. Hail the Keth commander." Vextar's face appeared on the screen again, but this time he looked much less confident. Behind him, other Keth officers were running around in panic. "I am Admiral Tae-jin of the Terran Defense Force," the older human said calmly. "You have invaded the territory of a peaceful species and attacked civilian targets. You will withdraw immediately or face the consequences." "Admiral," Vexatar replied, trying to sound brave, "the Keth Empire does not surrender to unknown species. We have ruled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Your empire ends today. You have 1 hour to evacuate this system. Any ship that remains will be destroyed." The Keth commander's red eyes flashed with anger. "You cannot defeat the entire Keth Empire! We have thousands of ships across hundreds of worlds!" Admiral Tae-jin's expression didn't change. "We know. We've been monitoring your military communications. After we finish here, we'll visit each of those worlds and free every species you've enslaved." The conversation ended abruptly as Vextar cut the transmission. Within minutes, the Keth fleet began moving into attack formation. It was clear they had decided to fight rather than retreat. Admiral, Fleet Admiral Hyun-Soo said. They're not going to leave peacefully. I didn't expect them to. The Keth Empire has never faced real opposition before. They don't understand what they're dealing with. Tae-jin activated the fleet communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Tae-jin. Execute Operation Righteous Thunder. The human fleet moved with precision that amazed even the watching Vellani. Ships that had seemed motionless suddenly accelerated to attack speed. Formations split and reformed as if guided by a single mind. Major Seok-jin led the first wave of attacks. His ship, the Daejeon's Hammer, specialized in boarding operations and close combat. As his vessel approached the Keth line, he opened a communication channel to his Marine teams. Listen up, Marines. We're about to board enemy ships for the first time in human history. Remember your training. These aliens think they're tough because they've been bullying peaceful species. Show them what real warriors look like. The Daejeon's Hammer fired magnetic grappling cables at a Keth cruiser, pulling the two ships together. Cutting beams sliced through the enemy hull, and human Marines in powered armor poured through the gaps. What happened next shocked both sides of the conflict. The Keth warriors had expected a difficult fight against boarding parties. Instead, they found themselves facing humans who moved like deadly machines. Human Marines wore armor that made them faster and stronger than any Keth soldier. Their weapons could punch through alien armor like it was made of paper, but most terrifying of all was their tactical coordination. The humans moved through the Keth ship like they had studied its layout for years. Deck 1 secured, Seok-jin reported over the radio. No enemy survivors. Moving to Deck 2. Deck 2 secured. No survivors. Moving to engineering. Engineering secured. Enemy ship is under our control. The entire operation took less than 10 minutes. A Keth cruiser with a crew of 300 had been captured by 30 human Marines without a single human casualty. Commander Yoon Hae demonstrated a different aspect of human warfare. Her stealth ships had been invisible to Keth sensors since the fleet arrived. Now they revealed themselves by appearing directly behind enemy vessels and firing at point-blank range. The Keth had never experienced this kind of combat. Their enemies usually announced themselves and fought according to established rules of war. Humans seemed to have no rules except winning as quickly and completely as possible. Enemy destroyer eliminated, Yoon Hae reported calmly. Moving to next target. Captain Dong-wook's heavy artillery fleet demonstrated the true power of human engineering. His ships carried weapons designed to destroy space stations and heavily fortified planets. When he fired on the Keth fleet, entire enemy ships simply ceased to exist. Direct hit on enemy dreadnought, Dong-wook announced. Target destroyed, no debris detected. The Keth weapons seemed almost primitive by comparison. Their energy beams and missiles bounced harmlessly off human shields or were destroyed by automated defense systems before they could reach their targets. Prime Minister Kelthara watched the battle from her command center, unable to believe what she was seeing. The Keth Empire fleet that had terrorized her people for months was being systematically destroyed by these mysterious humans. Minister, her aide whispered, the human ships fight like they've been designed specifically to kill Keth vessels. Kelthara nodded slowly. No, they fight like they've been designed to kill anything that threatens innocent people. The battle was less than an hour old when Fleet Commander Vextar realized that his fleet was doomed. More than half of his ships had been destroyed or captured, and the humans hadn't even used their largest weapons yet. All ships, he broadcast on an emergency frequency, retreat to hyperspace immediately. Signal the Empire that we have encountered a superior enemy force. But as the surviving Keth ships tried to escape, they discovered that the humans had surrounded the entire system. Every escape route was blocked by human vessels. Attention, Keth fleet! Admiral Tae-jin's voice filled. The system, you are not leaving! Your empire sent you here to destroy innocent people. Today you learn that such actions have consequences. Vextar's hands shook as he realized the truth. The humans hadn't just come to rescue the Vellani, they had come to end the Keth Empire's reign of terror permanently, and they had brought enough ships to do it. News of the human intervention spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. On dozens of worlds, alien governments received urgent reports about mysterious warriors who had appeared from nowhere and begun destroying the mighty Keth Empire. Emperor Drakmoth of the Keth Empire sat on his throne in the capital city of his home world, reading the reports with growing rage. In all his long life, no one had dared to challenge Keth's supremacy. His empire controlled over 400 worlds, commanded millions of soldiers, and possessed weapons that could destroy entire planets. Impossible, he growled as he read Fleet. Commander Vextar's final transmission. No unknown species could defeat 200 of our best ships. His military advisor, General Kexnar, stood nervously before the throne. My Emperor, the reports are confirmed. The humans completely destroyed our Vellani invasion force. Vextar's flagship was captured, and he was taken prisoner. Humans. Drakmoth spoke the word like it tasted bad. We have no records of this species. Where did they come from? Our intelligence suggests they come from a system called Sol, approximately 40 light-years from Vellani space. The system contains only one inhabited planet, but our long-range sensors detect massive industrial activity. The Emperor stood up from his throne. He was nearly 8 feet tall with 4 powerful arms and skin like black stone. Scars from 100 battles covered his body, and his red eyes glowed with fury. One world. These humans live on one world and dare to challenge an empire of 400 planets? Yes, my Emperor. But their technology appears to be far more advanced than ours. Their ships move faster, hit harder, and seem almost impossible to destroy. Drakmoth walked to a huge window that looked out over his capital city. Millions of Keth citizens went about their daily lives, secure in the knowledge that their empire was the strongest force in the galaxy. They had no idea that everything was about to change. General, send a message to every fleet commander in the Empire. I want every available ship to assemble at the Nexus system. We will show these humans what happens when someone challenges the Keth Empire. Every ship, my Emperor. That would leave our territory undefended. If we don't stop the humans now, we won't have any territory left to defend. How many ships can we assemble? General Kexnar consulted his tactical display. Approximately 800 vessels, my Emperor, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Good. And General, bring the planet killer weapons. If these humans want to see real power, we'll show them how we destroy entire star systems. Meanwhile, in the Vellani system, Fleet Admiral Hyun-Soo was dealing with a completely different kind of problem. The human fleet had rescued thousands of Vellani civilians, but now they needed medical care, food, and shelter. Dr. Haiwan, the fleet's chief medical officer, had set up emergency hospitals on several human ships. She was a small woman with gentle hands, but her mind was one of the sharpest in human space. Admiral, she reported to Hyun-Soo, the Vellani are physically similar to humans, but their biology is different enough that we need to be careful with our medical treatments. The good news is that most of their injuries can be healed with our technology. What about their emotional state? They're traumatized but hopeful. They keep asking if we're really going to protect them from the Keth Empire. They can't believe that anyone would risk their lives for strangers. Hyun-Soo nodded. He had been thinking about the same thing. Humans had revealed themselves to the galaxy and started a war with a massive empire, all to help people they had never met. Dr. Haiwan, what do you think about what we're doing here? The doctor was quiet for a moment. Admiral, I became a doctor because I wanted to help people. It doesn't matter to me if those people are human or alien. Pain is pain. Fear is fear. The Vellani children I've been treating are no different from human children. Prime Minister Kelthara had been working with the human fleet to coordinate relief efforts. She was amazed by how quickly the humans had organized food distribution, medical care, and temporary housing for the refugees. "Admiral Hyun-soo," she said during one of their daily meetings, "I must ask you something that has been troubling me. Why are you doing this? Your people could have stayed hidden and safe. Instead, you've started a war with the most powerful empire in the galaxy." Hyun-soo thought about the question. It was something he had been asking himself since this all began. "Prime Minister, humans come from a dangerous world. We learned long ago that if you see evil happening and do nothing about it, eventually that evil will come for you too. The Keth Empire destroys peaceful species for profit. If we don't stop them now, how long before they decide to attack Earth? But surely you must be afraid. The Keth Empire has ruled this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. We are afraid. But being afraid doesn't mean you run away. It means you prepare for the fight of your life." As if summoned by his words, So-min's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we're receiving long-range sensor data from our scout ships. A massive Keth fleet is assembling in the Nexus system." Hyun-soo and Kelthara rushed to the bridge of the Iron Fist. The tactical display showed a frightening sight. Hundreds of red dots were gathering in a star system 2 days away from Vallani space. "How many ships?" Hyun-soo asked. "Nearly 800, sir. It looks like the entire Keth Empire fleet." Admiral Tae-jin's face appeared on the communication screen. "Hyun-soo, are you seeing this?" "Yes, sir. They're bringing everything they have." "Good. It saves us the trouble of hunting them down." Across the galaxy. Tae-jin's expression was calm, almost pleased. "Contact Earth Command. Tell them to send the second fleet immediately." "Sir, we already have 2,000 ships here. Do we really need more?" "Hyun-soo, we're not just fighting a battle. We're sending a message to the entire galaxy. When this is over, I want every alien government to understand that humanity protects the innocent and punishes those who prey on the weak." Commander Yun-hai had been monitoring Keth military communications. "Admiral, the enemy is calling this the final battle for galactic supremacy. Emperor Drakmoth himself is leading the fleet." "Their emperor is coming here personally?" "Yes, sir. He's declared that the human species will be completely destroyed, as an example to other potential rebels." Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They were scared, but they were also determined. In a few days, they would face the largest enemy fleet in galactic history. "All ships," he announced over the fleet communication system. "We have confirmed that the Keth Empire is sending their entire military force to destroy us. Emperor Drakmoth wants to use our deaths as a warning to the rest of the galaxy." He paused, thinking about the magnitude of what they were facing. 800 enemy ships against our fleet. Those seem like good odds to me. Across the human fleet, thousands of sailors and marines cheered. They had trained their entire lives for this moment. The largest battle in galactic history was coming, and humanity would either prove itself as the galaxy's protector or die trying. On the surface of the Vallani homeworld, billions of civilians looked up at the stars and prayed for the strange warriors who had come from nowhere to save them. They didn't know if the humans could win against such overwhelming odds, but they knew that these mysterious people were willing to die for strangers. In deep space, the largest fleet ever assembled by any species was moving toward a confrontation that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Nexus system had always been empty space, a collection of dead rocks orbiting a dying star. Now it was about to become the site of the largest space battle in galactic history. Two massive fleets faced each other across millions of kilometers. A vacuum, each convinced that they would write the future of the galaxy. Emperor Drakmoth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Destroyer, and studied the human fleet through his ship's sensors. He had expected to see primitive vessels, perhaps a few hundred ships at most. Instead, he was looking at over 3,000 human warships arranged in perfect battle formation. General Kexnar, he said to his military advisor. "These humans have more ships than our intelligence reports suggested." "Yes, my emperor. Our scouts indicate that additional human fleets arrived during the night. They appear to have been summoned from their home system specifically for this battle." Drakmoth's four arms gestured in irritation. "No matter. We still outnumber them, and we have the planet-killer weapons. Today we will show the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Keth Empire." On the human side, Fleet Admiral Hyun-Soo was receiving final reports from his commanders. Admiral Chang-min had arrived with the Second Fleet during the night, bringing experimental weapons that had never been tested in combat. "Admiral," Chang-min reported from his flagship, the Mighty Sword, "the new gravity well generators are online and ready. The Solar Storm missiles are loaded and targeted at the enemy flagship." "What about our defensive systems?" "All ships are equipped with the new shield harmonics. Enemy energy weapons should be significantly less effective against us." Commander Jae-sung, who led the fleet's vanguard, had positioned his ships in an aggressive formation at the front of the human battle line. His vessels were the fastest and most maneuverable in the fleet, designed to strike hard and fast before the enemy could react. "Admiral Hyun-soo," Jae-sung reported, "my ships are ready to begin the attack. We can reach the enemy line in 12 minutes at maximum speed." "Hold position, Commander. Let them come to us." Across the battlefield, Emperor Drakmoth was growing impatient. He had expected the humans to attack immediately, but they seemed content to wait in their defensive formation. "General, signal the fleet to advance. We will crush them with overwhelming force." The Keth fleet began moving forward, 800 ships accelerating toward the human positions. Their formation was impressive, a massive wedge of warships that had conquered hundreds of worlds over the centuries. Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo watched the enemy approach and opened a communication channel to all human ships. "All vessels, remember, your training. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every innocent species that the Keth Empire has terrorized. Today, we end their reign of terror forever." When the Keth fleet reached weapons range, Emperor Drakmoth gave the order to fire. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the human ships, a display of firepower that should have destroyed any enemy fleet. But the human shields held. Advanced technology developed in Earth's laboratories absorbed and deflected the enemy attack. A few human ships took damage, but none were destroyed. "Impossible," General Kexanar whispered as he watched the tactical display. "Our weapons should have vaporized half their fleet." "Return fire," Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo ordered calmly. The human counterattack was devastating. Railguns fired metal, slugs at incredible velocity punching through Keth armor like it was made of tissue paper. Plasma cannons sent streams of superheated gas that melted enemy hulls in seconds. Nuclear missiles detonated in brilliant explosions that lit up the darkness of space. In the first exchange of fire, the humans destroyed over 50 Keth ships, while losing only 3 of their own. Commander Jae-sung saw his opportunity and led the vanguard forward. His ships moved like hunting wolves, striking at the edges of the Keth formation and disappearing before the enemy could respond effectively. "Target their command ships," Jae-sung ordered his fleet. "Cut off their leadership and they'll fall apart." The vanguard's attack was perfectly coordinated. Human ships appeared behind enemy vessels, fired at point-blank range, and vanished again, before the Keth could organize a response. Within minutes, a dozen Keth command ships had been destroyed, leaving entire sections of their fleet without orders. Major Seok-jin led another boarding assault, this time targeting the largest Keth vessels. His Marines had learned from their previous experience and moved through enemy ships like deadly phantoms. "Bridge secured," Seok-jin reported as his team captured another Keth cruiser. "Enemy crew eliminated. Ship is under our control." But Emperor Drakmoth still had his ultimate weapons. The Planet Killers were massive ships equipped with devices that could destroy entire worlds by destabilizing their cores. "Deploy the Planet Killers," he ordered. "Target the largest human ships." 3 enormous Keth vessels moved toward the human fleet. their hull-mounted weapons charging with enough energy to crack a planet in half. These were weapons of terror, designed to force entire species into submission by threatening their home worlds. Admiral Chang Min detected the threat immediately. "Admiral Hyun-soo, those ships are charging planet-killer weapons. If they fire, they could destroy half our fleet." "Then we don't let them fire. Deploy the Solar Storm missiles." The Solar Storm missiles were humanity's most devastating weapons, designed as a last resort against overwhelming odds. Each missile contained a miniature star core that would explode with the force of a supernova. Captain Soo-jin of the experimental ship Daegu's Nightmare had the honor of firing the first Solar Storm missile. The weapon streaked across space toward the lead planet killer, moving too fast for enemy defenses to intercept. When the missile struck, the explosion was visible from light years away. The planet killer ship, along with a dozen vessels around it, was completely vaporized. The energy release was so massive that it created a temporary gravitational anomaly in local space. Emperor Drakmoth watched his ultimate weapon disappear and felt fear for the first time in centuries. What kind of species are these humans? What world could have produced such monsters? The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human technology, tactics, and sheer determination overwhelmed the Keth Empire's numerical advantage. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for 1,000 years were reduced to scrap metal by weapons they couldn't understand. General Kexnar looked at the tactical display and saw the truth. 3/4 of the Keth fleet had been destroyed or captured. The remaining ships were scattered and running for their lives. "My Emperor," he said quietly, "we have lost. We must retreat while we still can." But Emperor Drakmoth was beyond reason. His empire, his legacy, everything he had built was being destroyed by creatures he had never heard of until yesterday. "Never. Signal all remaining ships to ram the human vessels. If we cannot defeat them, we will at least hurt them." The final phase of the battle was more massacre than combat. Desperate Keth ships tried to ram human vessels, only to be destroyed by defensive fire long before they could reach their targets. When Emperor Drakmoth's flagship, the Eternal Destroyer, finally faced Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo's Iron Fist in single combat, the result was swift and decisive. Human weapons tore through the enemy ship's armor, and boarding parties captured the bridge in minutes. Emperor Drakmoth was taken alive, along with what remained of his command staff. The mighty Keth Empire, which had ruled through fear and violence for over a millennium, had fallen in a single day to a species that had been spacefaring for less than a century. As the last enemy ships surrendered or fled, Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo opened a communication channel to the entire galaxy. "This is Admiral Hyun-soo of the Terran Defense Force. The Keth Empire is finished. Any species that preys on innocent civilizations will face the same fate. Humanity offers protection to the peaceful and justice to the oppressed. The Battle of Nexus was over, but its consequences would reshape the galaxy forever." The Galactic Council had never held an emergency session like this one. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the massive assembly hall on the neutral world of Concord Prime, all demanding answers about the mysterious humans who had appeared from nowhere and destroyed the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Ambassador Veltan of the Zephyrian Federation spoke first. His people were traitors and diplomats who had spent centuries maintaining peace between different alien governments. "Honored representatives," he began, his voice carrying across the hall, "we are here to discuss an unprecedented event. In less than 1 week, an unknown species has revealed itself to the galaxy and single-handedly destroyed the Keth Empire. We know almost nothing about these humans, except that they possess military technology far beyond our understanding." Representative Kixara of the Centaurian Alliance was less diplomatic. Her species had been fighting the Keth Empire for decades without success. "The humans did what we could never do," she said, her voice filled with both gratitude and fear. They saved billions of innocent lives and freed dozens of enslaved worlds. But they also demonstrated that they could destroy any of us just as easily as they destroyed the Keth. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to welcome humanity as liberators and protectors. Others worried that the humans might be even more dangerous than the empire they had defeated. Finally, Admiral Tae-jin entered the assembly hall. The room became completely silent as the alien representatives got their first look at one of the legendary human warriors. Tae-jin was not an impressive physical specimen by galactic standards. He was smaller than most aliens, with no natural weapons or armor, but there was something in his eyes that made even the most powerful species nervous. This was a person who had faced impossible odds and won. "Honored representatives," Tae-jin said, his voice calm and respectful. "I am Admiral Tae-jin of the Earth Defense Force. I have come to address your concerns about humanity's actions in the Nexus system." Ambassador Veltan spoke for the Council. "Admiral, your species has demonstrated power beyond anything we have ever seen. The galaxy needs to know your intentions. Are humans conquerors like the Keth Empire, or do you truly seek peace?" "We seek peace," Tae-jin replied without hesitation. "But we will not allow peace to be destroyed by those who prey on the innocent. The Keth Empire enslaved entire species and destroyed peaceful civilizations for profit. That kind of evil cannot be tolerated anywhere in the galaxy." Representative Kixara leaned forward. "Admiral, how did your species develop such advanced technology? Your ships destroyed Keth vessels that have dominated galactic warfare for centuries." Tae-jin thought carefully about how to answer. "Humans come from a world that tried to kill us every day. We survive by becoming tougher, smarter, and more determined than anything else on our planet. When we reached space, we brought that same survival instinct with us." The alien representatives exchanged worried glances. Many of them came from peaceful worlds where evolution had favored intelligence and cooperation over violence and aggression. Ambassador Veltan asked the question they were all thinking. "Admiral, what does humanity want from the galaxy?" "We want to protect species like the Volani Republic from empires like the Keth. We want to ensure that peaceful civilizations can develop without fear of conquest or slavery. And we want to build relationships with other species based on mutual respect and cooperation." Prime Minister Kelthara of the Volani Republic had been invited to address the council as a witness to human actions. She stood up slowly, still recovering from the injuries she had suffered during the Keth invasion. "Honored representatives," she said, "I have seen these humans in action. They received our distress call by accident, but they responded immediately. They risked their lives to save people they had never met. They asked for nothing in return except the chance to stop evil." Her voice grew stronger as she continued. "The Keth Empire would have enslaved or killed every person on my world. These humans prevented that genocide. If that makes them dangerous, then I pray the galaxy has more dangerous species like them." Colonel Minho, Commander Ji Young, and Captain Dong Wook had accompanied Admiral Tae-jin to the council session. They stood quietly behind their leader, representing the different branches of human military power. Representative Thexmore of the Big Regelian Confederacy had a different concern. "Admiral, our intelligence services have been monitoring communications from Earth. Your planet appears to have massive industrial capacity and a large population. How many humans exist?" "Earth currently has a population of approximately 12 billion people," Tae-jin answered honestly. "We have colonies in 14 star systems with a total human population of nearly 20 billion. The alien representatives looked shocked. Most galactic species had populations measured in millions, not billions. 20 billion humans, Ambassador Veltan repeated slowly. "And if they are all like the warriors we have seen." "Most humans are farmers, scientists, teachers, and artists," Tae-jin explained. "But every human receives basic military training, and we can mobilize our entire population if necessary to defend innocent people." Dr. Hei-wan stepped forward to address the medical concerns that several species had raised. Honored representatives, I am Dr. Hei-wan, Chief Medical Officer of the Human Fleet. Some of you have expressed concern about human biological compatibility with other species. I want to assure you that humans pose no biological threat to any known alien species. In fact, we have successfully treated injured Vellani civilians using modified human medical technology. She activated a holographic display showing the medical data from the Vellani rescue operations. We believe that cooperation between human and alien medical science could lead to treatments for diseases that have plagued the galaxy for centuries. Human medicine focuses on aggressive intervention and rapid healing, which complements the more subtle approaches used by other species. The council session continued for 2 full days. Human representatives answered hundreds of questions about their technology, their society, their history, and their intentions. Finally, Ambassador Veltan called for a formal vote. The Galactic Council will now decide whether to offer full membership to the human species, including military alliance status and protection agreements. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Over 80% of the galactic species voted to welcome humanity as full members of the galactic community. The motion passes, Ambassador Veltan announced. Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities that membership entails. Admiral Tae-jin stood up to address the Council one final time. Honored representatives, humanity accepts this membership with gratitude and humility. We pledge to use our strength to protect the weak and our technology to benefit all peaceful species. He paused, looking around the hall at representatives of dozens of different worlds. But let me be clear about one thing. If any government or empire attempts to conquest or enslave innocent people, they will face the full might of the human fleet. The age of galactic bullies is over. As the council session ended, representatives from dozens of species approached the human delegation with offers of trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and mutual defense pacts. The wrong hands that had received the Vellani distress call had become the right hands to guide the galaxy toward a more peaceful future. But in the back of the assembly hall, a few representatives from aggressive species watched the humans with calculating eyes. They were already planning how to test the limits of this new galactic order. They would learn, as the Keth Empire had learned, that testing humanity's resolve was a very dangerous mistake. 6 months after the Battle of Nexus, the galaxy was a very different place. The massive Keth Empire had been completely dismantled. Its conquered territories returned to their original inhabitants. Billions of enslaved beings were free for the first time in generations, and dozens of species that had lived in fear could finally develop their civilizations in peace. Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, now renamed the Protector's Hope, as it orbited the former Keith, capital world. The planet below was busy with reconstruction efforts as freed slaves worked to build new governments and rebuild their devastated communities. Admiral, So-min reported from her communication station, "We're receiving a priority transmission. From the Outer Rim. It's another distress call." Hyun-soo smiled as he walked over to her station. In the past 6 months, the human fleet had responded to 17 different emergency calls from across the galaxy. Pirates, slavers, and aggressive governments had all learned that attacking innocent people would bring swift and overwhelming retaliation from the Terran Defense Force. What's the situation this time? It's coming from a species called the Andromedans, in the far spiral arm. They're reporting attacks by something called the Shadow Collective. The message says that entire star systems are going dark, and no one knows what's happening to the people living there. Lieutenant Commander Wu Jin looked up from his tactical station. "Sir, the Andromedan Republic is over 300 light-years away. That's outside our normal patrol area." "Since when do we have normal patrol areas?" Hyun-soo asked with a grin. "If someone needs help, we help them. That's what we do." The human fleet had grown significantly since the Nexus battle. Earth's shipyards were working at maximum capacity to build new vessels, and thousands of young humans were volunteering for military service. The Terran Defense Force now had over 5,000 ships patrolling the galaxy, ensuring that no species would ever again face the kind of terror that the Keth Empire had brought. Admiral Tae Jin appeared on the main communication screen from his headquarters on the liberated world of New Valani. The planet had been renamed in honor of the species whose distress call had started humanity's involvement in galactic affairs. Hyunsu. I've been monitoring the Andromedan situation. This shadow collective appears to be different from the enemies we've faced before. They don't conquer worlds or enslave populations. They simply make entire star systems disappear. Any idea what we're dealing with? Our best scientists think it might be some kind of extra-dimensional threat. Whatever it is, conventional weapons might not be effective against it. Dr. Hei Wan had been working with alien scientists from dozens of species to develop new technologies that combined human engineering with alien scientific knowledge. Her team had created medical equipment that could heal injuries that would have been fatal just months ago. Admiral, she reported from her laboratory ship, I've been analyzing the energy signatures from the affected Andromedan systems. This isn't like anything we've encountered before. The Shadow Collective seems to exist partially outside normal space-time. Commander Yun Hai's stealth ships had been attempting to gather intelligence about the new threat. But even her most advanced reconnaissance vessels couldn't get close to the affected areas. Sir, my scouts report that space itself seems to be wrong around the Shadow Collective's activities. Our instruments can't get reliable readings, and 2 of my ships experienced severe system malfunctions just from getting within sensor range. Major Seok Jin had been training alien marines alongside human troops, creating integrated defense forces that could protect liberated worlds from future threats. Admiral, my analysis suggests that this Shadow Collective represents a threat beyond anything the galaxy has faced before. The Keth Empire was evil, but they were still bound by the normal laws of physics. This new enemy seems to operate by completely different rules. Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo listened to the reports and felt a familiar sensation. It was the same feeling he had experienced when he first heard the Valani distress call 6 months ago. Somewhere in the galaxy, innocent people were facing extinction, and humanity was the only force capable of helping them. All ships, he announced, over the fleet communication system, prepare for hyperspace jump to the Andromedan Republic. We have people to save. As the human fleet prepared to leave for another impossible mission, Prime Minister Kelthera sent a message from the Valani homeworld. Admiral Hyun-soo, my people have been discussing your upcoming mission. We want you to know that we are praying for your success. 6 months ago, you saved us when no one else would. Now you're going to save the Andromedans, even though they're strangers to you. Her image appeared on the main screen, and Hyun-soo could see tears in her eyes. We have learned something important from watching humans. True strength is not the ability to destroy your enemies. True strength is the willingness to risk everything to protect people who cannot protect themselves. Captain Dong-wook's Heavy artillery fleet had been equipped with new experimental weapons designed specifically for fighting extra-dimensional threats. Human scientists had worked around the clock to develop technology that could affect enemies that existed partially outside normal reality. Admiral, the new quantum disruption cannons are ready for field testing. If this Shadow Collective exists, in multiple dimensions simultaneously, these weapons should be able to hit them regardless of which dimension they're primarily operating in. Admiral Chang-min had been coordinating with the Galactic Council to organize a joint response to the Shadow Collective threat. For the first time in galactic history, dozens of different species were working together to face a common enemy. Hyun-soo, the Council has approved the deployment of joint task forces to support our mission. The Centaurians are providing their best shield technology, the Rigelians are contributing their sensor arrays, and even the peaceful Valani are sending medical support ships. As the massive human fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Somin detected another signal on her communications equipment. "Admiral, I'm picking up a new transmission. It's from the Shadow Collective themselves." The bridge became silent as an alien voice filled the air. The computer struggled to translate the message, and when it finally succeeded, the words sent chills through everyone present. "We are the Shadow Collective. We have consumed the light of 1,000 galaxies. Your resistance is irrelevant. Your species will join the darkness, or it will cease to exist." Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo listened to the threat and felt something he hadn't experienced since he was a child on Earth. He felt the primal fear that came from facing a predator that seemed unstoppable. But then he looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These were people who had chosen to risk their lives for strangers. They had faced impossible odds before and won through courage, determination, and the simple refusal to give up. "Somin, open a channel to the Shadow Collective." "Channel open, sir." Hyun-soo stood up and faced the main screen, knowing that his words would be transmitted across space to an enemy beyond imagination. "This is Fleet Admiral Hyun-soo of the Terran Defense Force. You've made a mistake. You've threatened innocent people in a galaxy that humanity has sworn to protect. We don't care what you've done to other galaxies. We don't care how powerful you think you are. You will not harm the people under our protection." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We are humans. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day of our lives. We survived by never giving up, never backing down, and never abandoning people who need our help. You want to see darkness? We'll show you what real darkness looks like when you threaten our friends." The transmission ended, and the human fleet jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, they left a galaxy that had learned to hope again because a species of warriors had decided that protecting innocent people was worth any sacrifice. The wrong hands had received an alien SOS 6 months ago, but they had turned out to be exactly the right hands to reshape the galaxy. And now they were about to prove that no threat, no matter how terrifying or impossible, could stand against people who refused to let evil win. The adventure was just beginning.